Hey everyone, in this video, we're going over the step-by-step process that you need to take in order to set up a Shopify store in Australia. We'll be covering everything you need to know about this whole process to make sure that you make no mistakes along the way. So make sure to follow along until the end. So first, go here into shopify.com, and from here you can now log in if you already have an account. If not, then you can click here on start for free and then sign up for your new account in here by providing your email, Google, Apple, or Facebook, whatever you do want. So once you are signed in into Shopify, you should have something like this. And if you're still in free trial, I highly suggest that you select a plan, because if you'd want to take your store seriously, you would need a plan for that here in Shopify. So just select a plan. And from here, you'd be able to get your plan for $1 only for your first 3 months. So this is a great deal from Shopify. And then once that's set up, we can now proceed into setting up our store here. So the things that I'll be discussing in here are the things that you absolutely must do if you're going to set up your store specifically in Australia. We're not going to go over the basic stuffs like going into the products, adding your products in here, and then going into the online store. And from here, editing your store and website also. So you can click here and customize, and then you can select your theme. And then you could add apps if you'd want to. So those are the basics in here. So what I'm gonna discuss in here are the things that would set your store apart so that it would be specifically designed for Australia. So first, what we'll need to do is to go here into settings on the bottom left. And from here, we can go here into general. And now here in the store details, you can go for your billing address. You can change this into Australia. Your address here must be in Australia, and then you can provide a specific business name, address, apartment, a suburb, postcode, and so on. You click on save. And take note that this would change your store's country and subscription fees and billing currency that you may have access to. So in my case, I wouldn't be able to change this because I can provide my address and suburb and so on, but you'd want to change this into Australia, okay? And then once you're done, click on save. Next is that you want to go here into store defaults and make sure that your currency is in Australian dollar. So you want to click here and click on change store currency. Now in here, you can now choose the currency. So in my case, I'll go for AUD. You could also go for a US dollar if you don't want to, but in my case, I'll just go for Australian dollar since we are making this specifically for Australia. And then you can provide your reason for changing. That's optional. I'm just going to click here on change. And as you can see, we have now changed our currency. And next, we could change our unit system, default weight unit, and then your time zone. You can set this specifically depending on where you are in Australia. So make sure to set it up correctly in here. Another important setting that you should set up is your payment gateway. So once you're here in settings, you just simply need to go here in payments. And now from here, you should now be able to see your options. And here in the payment providers, you can click on choose a provider. And this is where it would differ. If you are in Australia, then you might see different options that you have here for your third-party payment providers. So just work with what you have here as your options. And then once you have set up your payment provider in here, you have chosen one, then now you can go back into payments. And then from here, you could also go for the supported payment methods, and you can go for PayPal. This is a more of a global payment method in here. So probably you also have this option. And then you can set it up by clicking here and then just basically following the on-screen process. Now, we could also go back. And from here, you could click on add a payment method. So other than PayPal, you could also add a payment method right here or by provider. So you might have some options in here since you're in Australia. So yeah, you might have some options. So if you have that and you would want to set it up, then you can just select that right here. But in my case, I don't have one. Next is what you need to do next is you can also go for payment capture method and some other settings in here. So once you're satisfied with that, we can now move on to the next one. Next is that we'll be setting up our store location. So just go here into the search bar, type in location. And from here, you should see the default location option. Make sure to click on that. And from here, you want to make sure that your shop location is correct. So let's just change this into Australia. So as you can see here, name, shop location, and then the address. Click here and add, and then Australia again. So we're going to go for Australia in here. So it is here. Now for the address, so I'm just going to go for 123 Bond. Let's say this one, and click on save once you're done. And then as you can see, click here on save again to save your location. Now, once you are done with this one, is that you could also go for shipping, local delivery, and pick up in store. If you'd want to turn this on, these options right here, if that's applicable to your store, then you could also do that right here. In my case, it's not necessary, so let's move on to the next one, which is going into shipping and delivery. So in here, you want to make sure that your shipping zone is absolutely correct. When it comes to shipping, you'll want to make sure that you have set up Australia Post or other localized carriers. That's the main carrier in Australia, and most customers are familiar with it. So now, in here is that we're going for the shipping zone first. So you can click here if you'd want to edit this, or you could create a new one from scratch, which is a custom profile. So now in here, I'm going to name this profile Australia. Now, in here, you can add some products in here. You can select all of your products if this shipping rates or shipping profile would apply to all. But in my case, let's say that I just want to apply this to these specific products. Click on done. And now once you're satisfied, next is the fulfillment location. So in here, we now have our default location here for our store. So you could also edit this if you'd want to. And then here in the shipping zones, you can now add a zone and a rate to ship this location from. And as for this example, I am just going to go create a zone for Asia. You might have different options in here that you could choose from for your shipping zones. And if you don't see the countries or regions that you'd want to see here, you can click here on this button right here, wherein you'd be able to add it right here. But as for this example, I'm just going to use Asia, and I'm just going to name this zone Asia. Click on done. And there it is. So now that we have our zone, we can now add a rate. You can click here and add a rate. You can go for a flat rate or carrier or app to calculate the rate. So I'm just going to go for carrier right here. And then from here, this is the carrier that is available here in Shopify. And then we have Shopify shipping services that is international. You can go for future services and so on. And then you can see the percentage right here that you can charge or the flat amount. In my case, I'll just go for flat rate now. And this will be the options. Here we have the shipping rate. So now we can go for standard international, which is 6 to 27 business days. You can also go for custom, and then you'd be able to give it a name and then deliver description. I'm just going to go for the standard. And now I'm just going to set a price, let's say $50. And then you could add conditional pricing in here if you'd want to. So you can base it on a weight or order price. Now, once you've set that up, you can now click here on done. And now from here, the next thing is that you can now start shipping to more places. So you could go to markets in here. So this is what I have discussed earlier. Remember when I told you to click on the market button, click here. And this is where you'd be able to add more shipping zones into your market right here. So you can click here on this button that is not available yet in your market. And from here, you can add it. And now, from here, you could also enable your Shopify payments, which would also be really good if you're in Australia. So you could activate this right here so that it would be easier for your customers to pay. And now, next is that you want to go here into taxes and duties. So it is very important that you do this correctly. So as for Australia, it might have a different law for regarding taxes. So make sure that you comply to your region's taxes law. And then from here, you could see the apps that you could use, and then duties and import taxes and so on. So make sure to set it up correctly. And if you have no idea, then I suggest that you can contact a professional regarding taxes. And next thing is the last one. So going back in here to general, you'd be able to see here, add your ABN to be exempt from taxes on your invoices. So if this is applicable for you, if you have ABN, then I suggest that you add it right here, because this could be really helpful to you as an Australian business right here. So just add your Australian business number so that you don't get charged. And yeah, those are the things that you would need to set up in here in Shopify in order for you to set up your store in Australia. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.